Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
Hey, folks. Welcome to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about
how we game.
That's what Mrs. Oben said.
That's what she said. Yeah, that works. That fits. Yeah. That's what she said.
It's Thursday night, and it's call-in show time.
Wah, wah, wah.
I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Wayne.
And we are a podcast based out of, I guess, all over the place now, between Tampa, Louisiana, Lutz, Wesley Chapel. We're expanding our horizons and getting some remote going to make it easier for us to get together.
Yeah, nice.
But it is Thursday night. We take your phone calls every Thursday night to talk about what you've been up to gaming-wise. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the Do Not Disturb here. Sweet. And when you see the phone number show up on the screen, you'll know the phone line's open. But, Rob, talk to the folks. Let them know what you've been up to.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we've been doing all kinds of good stuff. So I guess most recently, last night, Wayne and I and Mitchell got together and recorded our audio podcast that will be coming out this Sunday. We've been pretty regular about that the last few weeks, so that's good. We went from a every other week release to now we're shooting for every week. So every Sunday, catch our audio podcast wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, all the big ones. So I listen on Spotify. I think I'm an old man when I say that, right? Nobody uses Spotify anymore, especially for like podcasts.
No, Spotify's still a thing.
Is it a thing? Oh, okay.
It's still a thing. It's okay. Spotify's okay, Rob.
But
at least you're not on like AOL listening to it.
Yeah, we'll dial up. You got to me, listen for me dialing in. But no, we talked about some good stuff, and so I won't spoil any of that. But it was a good podcast. It was probably a little over, once it's edited down, a little over an hour, I think.
Yeah, probably about an hour and 15.
Yeah, we talked about just some strategy tips for Welcome To. So every podcast now we're trying to pick a specific game and give our own tips on how we play those games, how we do. We talked about our recently been playing games. So we each had a game that we've been playing recently.
I love the puns.
And then we dug a little bit into what makes or breaks a deck builder game. We gave some examples of our favorites, and we talked about what we think makes a good deck builder and what are things that we find annoying or don't particularly like with deck builders. So good stuff in there. So lots of good content. So definitely listen in. But what have you been up to, Wayne?
Not a whole lot other than
liar.
Just
liar.
Say that. You've had the most exciting week out of any of us.
Yeah, yes. Probably. Yeah, spent 5 days up in Atlanta during the Dragon Con convention, which
nice.
Always a good time. Flew in like 6 a.m. Thursday morning, flew home midnight Monday. So it was long 5 days, but 4 days, 5 days, whatever. It was a great time as always. It really was back, I think, this year. The unofficial number that they said at the closing ceremony was 65,000.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
wow.
That's more than Gen Con and Comic Con and all of those. And it was really good.
The largest con to date
since the pandemic.
Since lockdown.
Since the pandemic. Yeah.
Probably.
So,
and it was really good. They still ran it real well. I mean, the masks were required, and probably 95% of the people were wearing masks, no problem, and no one was really giving any hard times. There were some people who didn't, but other than that, it was pretty good. Felt pretty safe as far as that was concerned. Huge dealer room. The art show was fantastic. The parties were great, and then like the big thing that people don't know about Dragon Con is it's not a board game specific convention like Gen Con is, right? It's kind of everything nerd and geeky. And not just like Marvel and comics. It's everything from like there's panels where there are NASA scientists talking about science and industry, and there are people from Hollywood and movie producers and like authors, and so it's everything you can think of. There's a track on like a skeptic track where they're talking about the science of certain things, and so you kind of mix and match. There's BattleBot stuff, there's wrestling, there's concerts and everything. So there's a lot of cool things. So during the day you go and check out some celebrities, maybe get an autograph, photograph, you go to some panels and learn some cool stuff, and then at night you go to dance parties and gaming room, and there was a couple of different arcades
of adult beverages and adult fun. It looked like we saw the pictures. Yeah,
it was good. Yeah, most of the pictures I posted in our group chat were from the aquarium night. They basically take over the Georgia Aquarium, and it's just Dragon Con attendees.
I think we can call it grown up fun. I don't know. Adult fun sounds a little sketch.
Yeah.
Well, all right, maybe
Yeah,
that's what
that's what
adult.
yeah.
Grown up, big people fun. Yeah.
No, it's cool. It was, I
It's
I
like
always
parties, but not
it's
like
parties. Yeah.
furries parties, right?
Well, I'm sure there's some of that too, because it's everything nerdy. But
there's some dark corners of Dragon
there's some
Con,
dark
yeah.
corners of Dragon Con. It is Dragon Con after dark, but
Yeah.
but no, it's really cool. It was like I'll point out, like, so example, like we went and saw a panel with Anson Mount from Star Trek. Got to see him talk. Got to see Sam Jones and Melanie Anderson from Flash Gordon, the original Flash Gordon movie. So that's some celebrity stuff. But then, like, you could go see BattleBots and wrestling. And I think I'll talk just real quick before we get a call, or two panels that I love that my wife and I went to that were great. There was one in the Skeptics track on Argo the movie. You guys familiar with Argo the movie from Ben Affleck? It's about the CIA went into Iran to rescue some American diplomats. And there was a guy who was a former CIA agent who worked for Ben Affleck's character in real life. And the whole panel was him going through the movie, explaining, well, this happened exactly right, and how it happened in real life. And this is where they changed it from the movie to reality.
That's cool.
And so it was cool. You get to listen to a guy from the CIA talk for an hour and a half about how accurate that movie actually was to reality. And he said it was like 95% accurate to how it happened. There's a couple of things. They really sort of downplayed Canada's involvement in the scenario, that Canada really did a lot more to help the United States get the diplomats out. And like sort of the chase scene at the end was, added on. But he said, other than that, it's pretty accurate. So it was awesome.
Cool.
And then the other panel I would talk about was.
No, but before you go farther on that,
I
I just want to touch on that. Like, I really enjoy watching like the director's comments on movies.
Yeah.
Or even like YouTube, you go in and get it like a fighter pilot's thoughts on Maverick the movie, right?
Right. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it was cool.
That sounds like an awesome panel.
Yeah, it was great. And he had 3 or 4 sessions in the thing about like different stuff. He worked for the CIA specifically with like China. So we had talks about how espionage and counterespionage between the United States and China. That was cool. I love it. So that's the kind of, you can do that kind of really, really nerdy stuff and go see a NASA scientist, as I said, or you can go, celebrities and movies and stuff. The other one that I would really loved was we went to a presentation from a guy named Fond Davis, Fond Davis. And he's a Hollywood guy, but he's like the master of 3D printing. And his whole session was on like how he got into 3D printing. He worked for ILM, he worked for Stan Winston, and like he talked about, the claymation movies, right? And instead of having to go and change the faces like 24 times per second, what they started doing is 3D printing the faces, and he'd print off thousands of the faces when they're doing like stop motion movies, and every 24th of a second they're going and changing the face on and off. And he showed off some of the 3D printing that they're doing on their like really high-end printers. And so I was really interested because I'm kind of want to get into 3D printing. And the showstopper was he showed some 3D prints that they just started doing off of a $250,000 3D printer, and it's
Wow.
full color.
Wait, what?
Wow.
Yeah,
Full color 3D printing.
Full
Wrap your mind
color
around
3D
that.
Like all the plastics are colors?
It has the like your home printers, like regular paper printers have like the cyan, the orange with the 4 colors. He's like they now have a 4D printer. He's like, we paid $250,000 for it, but it comes with the different colors, and it'll print in full color. And he showed pictures and he showed a model. He's like, you see how this looks? See how it looks like it's all painted and everything? Yeah, that was off of our 3D color printer. I'm like, it was like blew the room away because it was full of people who home print, right? And we know that with home printing, it's that, standard color, and you got to sand it and you got to paint it and whatever. But he's like, now, it's a couple of years before you guys can afford something like this, but it was pretty cool. And he was giving like tips and tricks on how to get into 3D printing and, software you can use. And it was just blew you away. Cause I mean, he's a guy that, he's got a warehouse in California full of hundreds of 3D printers that are just constantly printing. And that's what he does, is special effects for movies and 3D printing. And he talked about how they, a lot of the props they're on movie sets now, they're 3D printing, but what they'll do is they print it where they can insert like, small steel rods to give it heft and to make it more stable. And like they don't 3D print the whole Millennium Falcon. They build the thing out of wood, and then they 3D print things to glue on. And it was just really cool how they talking about how they use 3D printing in Hollywood movies now. And so those were the 2 panels that like I think kind of blew me away. I was like, oh, that's really cool, when you see that.
I read an article in last month's Road and Track. Actually, I think it comes out quarterly now. It's not monthly anymore. but it was how they did the Batmobile, the new Batmobile,
Right.
and they talked about how they 3D printed a lot of that fake engine that came out the back because it looked like a V8 turbo, twin turbo coming out the back, but really it was a V6 in the front.
Right.
But all that was 3D printed.
Yeah.
But they did it so that they can put all the fuel cells, all the fuel inside of the engine, like hide it around inside that fake engine to use that space. But yeah, I was surprised that all that was 3D printed.
Yeah, it was cool. And I tell you that when there's like 150 people in the audience, and they're clearly like most of them were like 3D home printers, and they were interested in it. And when he showed the model and showed the picture of the 3D printed thing, the whole audience was like, it was like the gasp in the audience. And then he's like, and then he dropped the bomb of like, oh yeah, it's only $250,000.
Only.
Well, you want to talk about high end? Yeah, that's high end.
That's high end stuff. Yeah, but and what's funny is one person asked like, "Hey, I didn't get the chance to ask, but somebody asked, hey, I want to get into 3D printing. What's a good, sort of baseline 3D printer that that I could get into?" And he's like, "Oh, definitely this model right here. It's a really good one." And so I googled it really quick. It was like $1,500. I'm like, okay, it's a little out of my range. Yeah. But then he immediately said, "But that's probably actually a little high." And he gave a couple other ideas on 3D printers, and he gave a good site for 3D printers where you get them on a good sale every now and then. He's like, don't go to Amazon, go to, what is it? Microcenter.com is the website he gave, and it has, he's like, typically you'll find like they run sales where you get $100-$150 off the printers here and there. So that's kind of cool. So, other than that, it was cool. It was just a lot of nerd stuff that we did. There's a bunch of arcades at the con too. So we went and played a bunch of video games and limited board gaming, but that tends to be Dragon Con for us, is limited board gaming because it's just so busy. So
did you do any board gaming? Did you play anything?
Yeah, I mean, see you post up any pictures of board gaming.
No, I didn't mostly take the pictures. Yeah, but it's mostly simple games. Brought Can't Stop, Carlos. We played a lot of Can't Stop. We were messing around. Yeah. And just Skull and short game, like no serious games, just all kind of lighter games in between things. And late night we're hanging out and we're just playing a game. So still not quite back. My normal group we're still about maybe a third of the normal people that go. So that's probably why some of the guys who are more into board gaming didn't make it this year again. So hopefully next year the whole crew will be back and we'll get back into some more board gaming. But really, I think that I'm sort of gone to the mindset that Dragon Con for me is not necessarily going to be a big board gaming convention because there's just so much going on between the parties and the music and the panels and just all the different things you can do. There, it's kind of cool. It's not dedicated solely to board gaming. So I think that's where Dice Tower and close Necronomicon and Your Turn and those things, that's going to be the ones where I know that I'm just going to go and board game the whole time. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, Carlos you've been once to Dragon Con. I've been twice now. So
yeah, you drug me on the second time you went, and I got to say that was probably my biggest disappointment was the lack of board gaming.
Yeah, it's definitely not a board game.
You just have to go and realize it's not board gaming. But like you probably didn't even realize you can go listen to CIA agents talk about movies. And
That's what I was going to mention, Rob. I don't remember hearing about. Well, you know what though? Here's the Wayne. We worked for phone calls. That's what we worked for. So, and this one, I'm pretty sure I know who this is. So let's get right into it.
Nice, jump to it.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where you calling from? Or Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where you calling from? Oh, hang on.
Oh, we got volume on there. If you're on there,
how about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There we go. Hello, Ron Frazier.
How you guys doing?
We are well.
That's great. Heard Wayne talking about Dragon Con a little bit. Yeah, it's not a strong board gaming convention. It's a little bit of everything. So with more of a focus on, your different fandoms and attending panels with these different people talking about these topics and whatnot, cosplay and partying, which really isn't my thing. But it could still be a fun time.
Yeah, I know you. I don't want to get you off of Dragon Con because I know that you've got a lot of experience with Dragon Con, but I know you did something a little different. We saw some pictures of that you posted up.
Yeah, I did. So I have some friends that I know from gaming and also church, and they were Dragon Con regulars for a long time, volunteering and whatnot. And then a few years ago, they just got tired of the crowd, but they still wanted to do have a con experience. So they started a con at their house with badges and events and everything. You saw the pictures. So this was a legit thing, and it was a whole bunch of fun. So I like to do that instead, especially with my with my wife and my youngest daughter being sick. I wanted to be close to home, so I was less than 10 minutes away. So yeah, had a great time.
Yeah, looks like you got some quality gaming in. I saw some photos. What all did you get played?
So I played the Crew and Long Shots, the dice game, which both proved to be popular. The biggest game that I got a chance to play was Unfathomable, which was a surprise because this is a light game. This is a light board game crowd that that I was hanging out with, and so just the fact that somebody had pulled Unfathomable out was like, it was a surprise. And I got roped in because I had played Battlestar Galactica before, and so even though I had never read the rules for Unfathomable or Battlestar Galactica, just the fact that I played and I played, I played more complex games. I got that opportunity that I was able to answer questions while we were playing it.
And so what did you think of Unfathomable? Have you played Battlestar Galactica before?
Yes. The last time I played it, as a matter of fact, was at Dice Tower.
Oh, nice. And
Yeah,
what's your comparison? What do you think?
I like Battlestar Galactica better because of the theme, but we're not going to get that anymore.
Yep.
That ship has sailed.
Oh, but I see what he did there.
Pun.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's Unfathomable is still pretty good. I'm just not a big, Lovecraftian theme guy. Looks great on the table.
Well, you mentioned the Crew, right? And I don't want to Unfathomable. Okay, so but the Crew is what caught my ear because I'm started today in teaching my wife trick-taking games, right? Because I want to get the Crew played at home. Did you struggle with teaching the Crew, or did the people that you play with already know how to play trick-taking games? What's your experience?
That's a great question.
That's why I'm here, bro.
Feed them to you.
So I have taught the Crew 4 or 5 times.
To the same person.
No, to different people. To different people. And what I've noticed is if they have been exposed to any type of trick-taking games before, it was pretty easy for them to pick up. If they had never played a trick-taking game before, you had a heavier load. You had to get really, really basic. Explaining the concept of a trick-taking game, and then on top of that, but now not only do you have a trick-taking game, this is a cooperative trick-taking game. So sometimes you want to win tricks, sometimes you don't want to win tricks. Sometimes you want to help the other person win tricks, which is you don't do that in normal trick-taking games. If you're not on a team with one other person. So it's just it can be weird. It can be challenging. So the last time I played it at LaneCon is what it's called. I played with 3 other people, none of which had played any type of trick taking game. And the funny thing is that like I played it with a cross section of different cultures before, and so somebody may have played spades or hearts. Somebody else may have played bridge or euchre or whatever. I haven't played those, but the thing is that like just because they had that experience, it was like, oh, okay, well then they understood Trump and winning the tricks and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's just a bigger challenge, but it can be done. It's not a complicated. No, it's not a complicated thing.
It's not a complicated because my wife has never played a trick taking game. Now I know I've said she's not a gamer, but that's not quite true.
Uh-huh.
15 years ago, Robert, you remember your wife would be holding your daughter now at the table while we played games with our wives. We played Lords of Waterdeep, we played Betrayal, we played Bang, we played games. But there seems to be as we had more kids, we kind of had a hiatus, like a pause of gaming with our wives. But my wife has never played a trick taking game ever. And today I tried to teach her how to play a trick taking game, and I just couldn't come up with the words on how to explain the process of trick taking. The mechanism's easy, but like getting the words out of my mouth felt hard.
Okay. I don't know what to tell you.
English is not my first language. That's what.
Yeah.
Trick taking games can be interesting because it's the concept of Trump, and the Trump suit, and when you play it versus not, and how you win tricks seems easy for those of us that have played trick taking games. But for someone that's never played it, and it could almost be, I think, a detriment to have never played a trick taking game and have played a lot of other modern board games and then go back to almost the simplicity of just the Trump and suits. That can be tough to comprehend. I can remember struggling to learn when I first started to learn spades years ago, and like, what really? Okay, the spade's better than anything in that, and how does that work? And then how do you determine what's a good card? When you're trying to count how many tricks you're going to take. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty easy.
And certainly the crew kind of turns it all on its head, because anybody who's played regular trick taking games, even if you play in teams, 2 against 2, you're still competitive. You're still trying to beat somebody. You're still trying to bid a certain number, either depending on the game, to hit it exactly, or to to exceed the number, or whatever you're trying to do. But I can see that if you taught somebody the crew as their first trick taking game, and that, hey, it's this cooperative game, we're working together, limited communication. I mean, they get some ideas of the trick taking, but it's really going to mess them up when they try to go play other trick taking games later, and vice versa. Somebody who's played some trick taking, again, it certainly would be easier, I would think, just being familiar with the ideas and the concepts. But the crew was pretty revolutionary when it did that. I'm sure it's not the first one to ever do a fully cooperative trick taking game, but it's certainly the first mass market one. It's the first big one, popular one. Rob,
you got the BGG up. I think Fox in the Forest did
I can pull it up
at least mainstream co-op thing first.
Yeah.
And then the crew took it to 4 players.
Okay.
No. Fox in the Forest was originally 2-player competitive.
It's competitive.
It wasn't until after the crew that they came out with Duet. Good point.
Duet. Yep.
So the crew may have been the first one to mainstream cooperative trick taking.
Could have been. Might have been.
I can't think of anything other than the crew as a cooperative trick taking game. I can't think.
I can't. I'm just thinking with all the trick taking games that have been out there in history. Trick taking games have been around for 100 years or more. So I assume
I
maybe
think I go farther back than that. Like you just think about like Brisca, right? Played in the 400s, I think in Italy or something. Trick taking's been around a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So I assume there'd be some other out there, but who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned Fox in the Forest. Carlos, have you and your wife played Fox in the Forest?
That's the game that I'm teaching her trick taking with, and that we started that today. So what I'm doing is, because I always feel like trick taking, you can lose somebody if you go too quick into teaching trick taking, because the depth of strategy, like Wayne was talking about, knowing how to use trumps, when to use trumps, you'll lose a lot early. So I'm taking it in baby steps. So here's my plan. Y'all tell me what you think. I'm starting with Fox in the Forest, and I started with just the numbers, no text, no special abilities, just the ranks and the suits. And we were just playing the game, not by points or anything. It's just win this hand, right? Hey, we win the game, right? Win the hand. Then I moved to, now let's play without the text, without the special abilities, but we're going to use that scoring mechanism that is a Jeremy, I can't remember the name of the designer. First name starts with a J, last name starts with a B, him, designed for Fox in the Forest, which is if you win 7 to 9 tricks, you get a victory of 6 points. If you win between 4 and 6 tricks, you can get 1, 2, or 3 points, and that's the loser, right? So everybody's getting points at that level. But then if somebody wins 10 or more tricks, that person's the greedy loser and they get 0. Meanwhile, the person that only won 0 to 3 tricks gets 6 points for being humble. I love that scoring mechanism. So now we're using that. And I bring that up, Ron, to say this. It was great when I saw her hit me up because she got a really good hand. And she started whapping me. Whap, 11. Whap, 11. Taking that. 9, 9. Like, she's just running me. And I'm like, crap. She's going to destroy me. I get down to 2 tricks that I win. And based on the hand she had left, she could not lose the rest of the hands. She could not lose a trick after that. But I had only won 2. So at the end of that, when she won 11 and I won 2, and then she realized she trapped herself in a hole using that scoring mechanism, she got greedy, went too far, got 0 points. It was pretty cool to see somebody, recognize the strategies and start to think about the next hand, how I'm going to change that or prevent that from happening.
Designer Joshua Burgle, just to throw that out there.
J and B. Still with me, Ronaldo?
Cool. I mean, yeah, I'm with you. Sounds like she's getting it to me. Like,
oh, she figured out how to run me. And I was trying. Because again, I don't want her to have the negative feelings of getting 0 points. So I was trying to lose a trick, but I could not make it happen.
well, I mean, just use it as another learning opportunity. I don't know. You try playing open-handed? Are you playing open-handed?
The first game we did open-handed. The second game we did it without open hands. Then we introduced the scoring mechanism that Joshua created. Joshua, right, Robert?
Yep, Joshua Burgle. Yep.
And then she ran herself into that trap and immediately said, I want to re-rack. Let's go. And I'm like, but I got to go do the show.
No. You got to go in.
Go back playing according to the rules, but play open-handed.
And my goal in doing this, the competitive version of Fox in the Forest, is because I want to play Duet. Fox in the Forest Duet. The cooperative. I have a feeling that playing trick-taking cooperatively is even more of a mind mess up than playing trick-taking competitively.
Yep, it sure is. It sure is. That was a big challenge with the folks that came to the game who haven't played trick-taking games before. It was. One time I played the other crew, the previous one, the planet one, with a couple, and the wife was having a really hard time because all she wanted to do was win, and it's we had I don't remember the specific missions, but the missions required one of us. I think her husband had some missions to win, and it really required him to win tricks, and it was
I feel bad for that dude at home, bro. He can't win at home, can't win in game night.
No win.
But it can be a challenge, but.
Oh, great conversation, brother. Great conversation. I appreciate you, man.
Thanks. I was glad to get a chance to talk to you guys. Glad to see you back at least today, Carlos. And Robin Wayne as always.
Yeah.
As always, Ron, good time.
Thanks for calling. Yeah, thanks for being a supporter. We know you're always there to call in, and a lot of times kick off the conversation. So hopefully we get some more people calling in right behind you.
Have a good night, Fraser.
Take care.
Have a good night. Thanks for calling.
Hey, I got my brother out of upstate New York in the chat.
Yeah, see that.
That's pretty cool. Thanks,
Nice.
Thanks for the sub, Hermano. I appreciate it. I really do. It's cool. My family popping in to say hi, and this has been quite interesting.
And during the show, yeah, you got all the family
that's cool.
chiming in there. That's cool. Yeah, they're watching. That's good.
I mean, if you can't get your family to watch, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you
who's
gotta
gonna
just
watch?
go-
Yeah. Yeah, excellent. I got to bring up a topic. This just came to me just a few minutes ago. I wrote it down. So while we're filling a little bit of time here between calls, but of course, everybody call in 813-618-7099. The phone line is open. We want to talk to you as always. We're just here to fill time, but we want to hear about what you've been up to, what you've been doing, what you've been playing. If you've heard any industry news, let us know. Maybe we've heard about it. We can give you some information, or if not, you can fill us in. But definitely light up those phone lines. But I was going to ask, Lord of the Rings, the new TV series. Have you guys watched it yet?
The first 2 minutes.
First 2
Yeah.
minutes. First 2
Yeah.
episodes, but
No,
No.
2 minutes.
oh,
I'm
Go ahead,
I'm maybe 10 minutes of the first episode. It came out the Friday at DragonCon, man. I haven't
oh
watched
yeah,
it.
yeah. That
I'm
was bad
behind on
timing.
all my shows right now. Yeah,
Sure.
bad time. It looked pretty cool for the first 10, 15 minutes I watched. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of that.
I watched
All
it.
right, so the first
Go
2
ahead.
minutes were not exciting, right? Like it didn't open up in like a giant elven army crashing against orcs, and I was kind of in a tired mode, and I'm like, you know what, this is not the time to watch this. I will fall asleep and it'll ruin it. So I just kind of
Yeah.
pulled out at that point.
Kind of feel like it's, and Rob, you sound like you've seen both
I've
episodes,
seen
but
it. Yeah, I've watched the first
from
2. Yeah.
from not dealing with the fanboys and their uproar, but it seems like it's going to be slow rolled, because I mean they're spent
Yep.
a lot of money on this show, so it's going to be around for a while. It's never, it's not going to, it's I think it's going to be a slow intro, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
They've already greenlighted, I think, for 5 seasons. I heard, and
Yeah.
so a lot of people are like, 5 seasons. Holy mackerel! How
They
can
spent
you,
like $500 million on the show.
Oh, it's actually over 800 million now.
800
so,
million?
Yeah,
There you
it's almost $1 billion.
Inflation.
It's the most expensive show that's ever been made.
Yeah.
So it is definitely a little slow. I was going to say that's been the criticism for the first 2 episodes, but I mean, if you already know you're doing 5 seasons, if you've got to build a story, they're going to invest in the characters,
Do it
and
right,
so that's,
yep.
I kind of warned my kids. We watched, we sat down as a family and watched both of the first 2 episodes. We did it over 2 different nights. They're an hour, just over an hour and 5 minutes, I think, each or something. But I told them, I said, it's going to be a little slow, but we're building characters, and so we're going to meet the different races. They're going to unfold slowly. They're going to take you kind of a little bit deep into each one, and so I mean that was kind of exciting. With the whole first episode, we only met 2 of the races in the world in the books or whatever. So when we got to that, the second episode is when they started introducing the dwarves, and that's when my kids kind of got excited. They're like, "Oh, we're going to the dwarf territory now. We're going to figure out what the dwarves are all about." So, but it's good. There's not a lot of action in the first 2 episodes. There's a taste of it, and you can see that they're definitely building towards that. But it is cinematic. That's been the other big thing a lot of people have said. I mean, you feel like you're watching a movie. I mean, this was really done really well. The scenery and stuff, the shots they've got. I'm not sure where they're filming this. I think the old ones were done in, what was it?
New Zealand.
New Zealand, yeah. So I mean, I'm sure that's where they're at for this. But just some fantastic camera work, cinematography, sound, and all of that. I mean, they've gone all in on it. So you basically feel like you're watching a movie for each of the little 1-hour episodes. And I'll say, once we turned it on, there's been, like I say, some criticism that it's been slow and some people have gotten bored with it. But my family has been pretty into it. Nobody's wanted to walk away to do anything. If you have to go grab something, it's like, can you pause it? I got to go get something, or got to go to the restroom or something. So
That's
we've
good to
been
hear,
pretty
Rob.
into it.
That most of my friends that are big nerds, and a couple of our friends that are huge Tolkien fans, they're loving it. So I'm excited for it. I'll catch up this weekend on that, and I've been watching The House of the Dragon, so I had to catch up. I caught up on that today. And
I
then
haven't seen any of that yet. So how's that
That's
going?
good. Oh, that's good. It's real good.
Is
It's
it? Yeah.
it's a couple hundred years before the Game of Thrones show. And it's
Yep.
different than Game of Thrones is. Like in the first 3 episodes, they time jump. Like the first episode happened, and then the second episode's like a year later, and the third episode's like 2 years after that. So it's and actually they're gonna change out like halfway through the season. Some of the actors are gonna change out because the girl who plays like the the princess, she's they're going to jump 10 years, so she can't play the same. So they're going to actually switch out actors over the. They've already planned it out. The same thing with Lord of the Rings, or a couple of seasons of this, and it's going to take it's going to be like a 30 or 40 or 50-year period of time. So they're going to change out actors to age them up, and have she's going to go from a teenager to her late 20s or 30s. So it's been interesting. It's good. The first opening scene.
Did you
was
read
a little...
any of the prequel books from the George R. R. Martin stuff?
Yeah, well, this is based on one of them. Yeah, this is based on his prequel book, basically. And
Dunk and Egg, Garrett. I don't even know his real name. I just call him Egg, the bald kid. Like, I read all those books, and I love those prequels. I'm kind of hoping that this series is based on that specific set of prequels.
No, it's based upon, I think it's called The House of the Dragon, and it's or something like that. Yeah, I haven't read that one, but I've read all the Game of Thrones stuff. So, but it's good. It's good. I'm enjoying it. The guy who played Doctor Who is one of the big kind of villainous guys, so he's kind of playing an interesting character. But other than that, it's good. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Amazon. I'm glad you liked it. Lord of the Rings from Amazon, Rob. I've been wanting to watch that.
It's good.
This is going to give me the encouragement to stick with it. This will give me the encouragement.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan. So, but yeah, and there's a little bit of a mystery that pops up at the about 2/3, 3/4 of the way through the second episode, and so there's some speculation in the family already. We're kind of, who's that going to be? Is because this is again way before the old stuff, or the new stuff, I guess, the Hobbit and all that. So this is a prequel set several hundred years before, and so there's some hints of we know some of these characters have been around for a long time. So there's some I think that's so and so, and that they're playing a little bit of a game with that. There's some of them they're not telling you their names. I think that's on purpose, so that it'll be that revelation, like, that's the grandfather of so and so or whatever. So yeah, it's been kind of fun. We've enjoyed it. So good stuff.
Nice. Cool.
Yep.
I see in the chat there, Edmund shouting out Rob there for the prototype of some Beans and Dice merch.
I was going to pull that up. So he's asking about plans, but yeah, I did post up on our Beans and Dice page. My wife, particularly, she's got the cricket at home, and she's quite the crafter and likes doing that kind of stuff. And so,
isn't that a gun from Men in Black?
Yeah,
cricket.
Yeah. Cricket, little squeaky cricket or whatever they call that thing. Yeah, that shoots holes through
the
people.
Noisy cricket.
There you go.
No, not that. It's a different device.
Noisy cricket or something like that. Yeah. not that cricket, but so she had told me, she's like, hey, they've got a little kit you can buy. It's like $60, and it comes with a little screen. You actually can, it comes with a bunch of blanks that you can put a design on it. You put it on your computer. She does a thing with her cricket that cuts it out in vinyl, and then she transfers that over to a screen. And then we went and bought the ink, and we hand screen printed a couple of T-shirts. And so
you mean like run ink across a board? Screen printing?
It's like it's
so this isn't like pasted on.
Nope,
like
not like iron-on. It's not like
an iron-on.
You're actually screen printing at home.
Actually, screen printing at
Dang,
home.
bro.
Yeah, so it's really cool. Yeah,
look at you. You got the kids doing it like a little sweatshop. You got the little kids.
We will. We're gonna get it going. So
because we need money to pay for the StreamYard and all these other subscriptions.
Exactly.
Man.
So Carlos and I were just talking about that a little earlier today. So we got some ideas. So Edmund, we got some things in the works. Right now it's just we handed 2 shirts just to kind of get an idea of how it looked. I put up some pictures of them, just asking for feedback and suggestions. I bought a couple more shirts. I mean, we've done one for me and my wife. We're going to do one for Carlos and his wife. Next step, if those come out good, we'll get them for the rest of the cast here, the people you see, Wayne and whoever else here in the media group that wants them. But I think if this goes well, I mean, it's been easy enough. I mean, it's a little bit of a process. You got to hang them up and let them dry for 2 days, and then you have to iron them to set the ink. So I mean, it's a multi-step process. It's not something that gets done overnight. But if the first 2 shirts we did seem to have turned out pretty nice, and so if we can keep that going, like you say, we're gonna get the kids on it. We'll be pumping these things out. But yeah, my hope is that if I want them to be at a certain quality. So I told the wife, I was like, I don't want to try to sell these or anything until I actually throw them in the wash and run them through 4 or 5 times in the wash. And so we'll probably take a test shirt after we've got it all pressed and ready to go and just wash it over and over and over again. But if these things hold up, and they're supposed to, I mean, these are supposed to be professional quality shirts.
Well, because you're actually screen printing. This isn't like an overlay that's gonna come off in the dryer.
Cool.
I didn't know that's what it was. I'm I'm
Exactly.
impressed, Rob. Like y'all,
Yeah.
they got a little sweatshop
Stoked.
going.
Yeah, it's fun. So it was kind of cool, and she's done all the work. The most manual part of it is you create a template, and so you do that on the computer, but then the Cricut cuts it out in vinyl to make the screen transfer that you transfer it over to the screen with, and you have to hand pick off
Right, all the
all
little
the parts,
pits
like
with like a
between
dentist
letters,
tools.
all those little bits, and so. Exactly. That was it. She had a couple pointy things that she was in there just poking little tiny pieces and pulling them out. And she worked on that for about an hour and a half. And then when she got it all done and transferred it over, I was like, wow, this looks pretty good. This turned out a little better
And
than I thought it was going
How
to.
many
So,
like
yeah.
the vinyl thing that she created? Will that last for 100
Mhm.
shirts, 1,000 shirts, 5 shirts?
She's got a friend that she works with who has said that they've done, a bunch.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't have an exact number, but
That's
yeah,
a technical
so I
term
had
in
asked
the
her-
screen
A
printing
bunch.
industry.
It's a bunch. Yeah,
Nice.
you print.
No,
you
it's
print it in
it's cool.
bunches. So
It's not
yeah,
a
I'm looking
smidge.
forward to it. Yeah,
It's a bunch.
A bunch. Yeah. So if this holds up, and again, like I say, I want them to be at a certain quality. I mean, we'll have some freebies that we give away. I'll have people here in the group, beat them up a little bit and see if they hold up. But if they do, I would say, hopefully in a month or two, we'll be ready to maybe by your turn, Con. We'll be ready to maybe sell them at the flea market. And again, I mean, we're not going to mark them way up. Carlos and I had talked about the cost, and I don't plan to do much over cost. But if we can just make a few dollars per shirt, it'll help us to pay for the StreamYard because we pay a service for doing this. We pay for various things.
Podcast hosting.
Podcast hosting for equipment.
We're trying to set up a second studio at Rob's. Thank you, Wayne, for donating money to the show. Wayne donated some money, which allowed us to buy another mixer board to put over at Rob's place. So that's huge. Because if I'm down and out and can't take phone calls, Rob can set up at his studio and manage the phone calls.
Yeah.
We can do it here now. And I'm going to try to set up a little studio at my place that my big passion, as we've talked about before, is I really want to do live plays of games. And if I can get a decent enough setup, maybe just 2 or 3 cameras where I can have a couple of angles, I plan to start, whether it's with the family, whether it's with Wayne coming over, Carlos coming over, whatever. I'll have a little studio here that'll be dedicated to, it'll always be set up and ready to go. And we'll just be able to jump on, push play. And then if people want to watch, we'll post those up on the channels. So that's my thing.
And speaking of the studio piece, because we're doing the show remotely now, y'all can see probably a different backdrop behind me. You got more of the kids' games behind me now. I was able to move the table. I was able to put the table back to where I had it before, where when y'all were over, the focus was more on the studio, the call-in show, everybody being on one side of the table, cameras on the other side so we could do the call-in show. With us doing the call-in show remotely, I was able to put the table back the way it was, where both sides of the table are fully accessible, plus the third side, so we can sit 5 people now at the table, a full 5, and actually play and record games because the table's not set up anymore for the call-in show aspect. It's set up more for gaming now. The studio is back to a gaming setup. So we can get more gaming done. If we can get a second studio done at Rob's, we can get a lot more gaming done between the 2 studios. And if we do this remotely on Thursdays, then that's really going to open up my weekends or other weeknights for gaming, because I'm not booking a whole Thursday of just, gaming events. I can set up another day for actual board gaming. While we're talking about swag, while Rob's got that up, Rob, throw me up on the screen. Come and talk a little bit more about what I'm taking with me to Escape WinterCon. So, and actually, I'll just pin myself as large.
Yeah, so go ahead, go full screen there. Yep, there you go.
I'm going to be bringing these board game coasters with me and this is Slate. You can hear these. I'm getting better, y'all. I'm figuring it out. How to laser etch on slate some board game art for y'all folks to be able to pick up your favorite board game covers on slate and, be able to put them in your game room. This is another way to support the podcast because all this money goes back into buying equipment, paying for StreamYard, paying for other things. So let me know what your favorite games are, what games you think we should be putting on slate coasters, and I'll be taking these with me to Escape WinterCon to the flea market, and then also posting them up on the Beans and Dice Etsy, which shout out to our buddy Joe Garcia created. What is it? It's fixed
the
token.
Fixed token. Instead of broken token.
Instead of broken token, it's fixed token. He took the link. So Rob, pull up your web. You can pull up the web and show the pictures of it.
Yeah.
Pull up your stuff.
The fixed token?
No, pull up the shirts.
Oh, the shirts
but
again. Okay.
Joe
all right, I'll do
Garcia
that.
set us up with what do you call that, Wayne? What's the word I'm looking for?
An
A
Etsy
URL?
shop or a
A
URL
website?
redirect. Yeah, it's a redirect.
It was redirect.
I don't
on
do
the
tech.
URL.
Yeah.
I just thought it was hilarious because he called it fixed token.
That's good stuff.
It was good. Yeah. Man, that's cool. I mean, I love the slate ones. Those are really nice. Like, I even like. I mean, the cork ones you were doing were great, but those slate ones are taking it up a notch. And that Cascadia one looked really nice. I mean, that looked...
I'm having to do a lot of tweaking of the contrast and the shadows, and then inverting the image to be able to get it to etch on there and look like what it's intended to. But man, I'm really surprised how well that's going.
Yeah, sign me up for a 4-pack.
You got it, brother. You
Okay.
just tell me the 4 games you want.
Yeah.
What are your
yeah,
4
yeah.
favorite games? And I
That's
will.
what I want, yeah.
And folks, that's what I'm talking about. You tell me what games you want, and we will send you a kit of these for a reasonable price. Send you a kit of these to put in your game room.
Yeah.
To help support the podcast.
And I'll gladly buy one of the first shirts so that I can beat it up. And if it lasts with me for a couple of weeks, then you know it's going to be good because I'm pretty hard on t-shirts. So
He wears the same shirt every day for a week.
no,
straight.
Well, that's good. I'll have Wayne wear it out for us then, and we'll make sure it's in good
see
shape.
it
But
last
yeah,
long. Yeah, I'll do the
Yeah.
quality assurance testing.
absolutely. But
Yeah,
yeah,
they look
I'm
really
sure-
good though. They came out really nice, man.
Yeah, and I took some suggestions in the group there. The Bella Canvas, I guess. So these are the real lightweight shirts. I mean, we certainly could make other kinds of shirts, but here in Florida, certainly something lightweight, something breathable. So these aren't big, heavy T-shirts. I shied away from just solid black. So what we picked up initially here is kind of a dark gray, but we can definitely do some other colors. I mean, we've got access to
No,
all
that
different
gray is, I
colors.
think, is a good color.
Yeah, I think so. I like it a lot. So yep. So
Phone
cool.
lines
We're
open,
gonna
813-618-7099. Talk to us about what you've been up to gaming-wise. Talk to us about your ideas or thoughts on our merch. I see some comments in the chat about even going into doing some shirts with some game art.
Yeah.
Edmund bringing up the prototype T-shirts. We've heard y'all. Y'all want some merch, and we will find ways to get something for y'all to help us keep doing what we're doing. And we appreciate all the help y'all provide.
Yeah, and actually, I just completely want to stress that again, that, of course, anything we do as we ease into this merchandising thing is all this money is going to go back into the channel. It's going to be, upgrading lighting, upgrading cameras, upgrading what we're able to do.
Getting
live
Studio
streams.
C set up
Yeah,
over
all
there
set
at
up, ready
Rob's
to go.
house.
So we got
That's
a full
the big
backup.
plan.
Yeah, so good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, call in 813-618-7099. We don't want to talk to ourselves.
Hey, Wayne,
the
we
whole time.
introduced you to one of what is now one of my favorite games, which was one of Rob's favorite games, Crusaders Thy Will Be Done, by Tasty Minstrel Games, was
Good
out of
game.
business, right? What are your thoughts so far on Crusaders?
Still trying to figure out what I'm doing. Being honest, no, it's a cool game. I like that rondelle and figuring out how you move pieces. I already can tell I've made some mistakes from early in the game. But it was interesting that the first night that you picked, like your
Oh, yeah.
like
Your
a nice
order?
your
Your
order,
two
yeah.
choices, yeah.
I forget how I had choice, but I chose one that lets you skip as you're distributing. You can skip a space,
Oh, yeah.
but I haven't quite figured out like when I should do that. So I'm like I probably should have taken the other order because they seemed like they had a cool ability. But no,
Skipping
it's really
a space is a pretty strong ability.
It
It
can
can
be,
be.
but I'm not quite learned yet what spaces are most important for what I'm trying to do. I don't really have a game plan. I'm just trying to
No, I think right now you should just be pulling levers,
Yeah.
pushing
Yeah,
buttons,
pushing buttons,
kind of feeling.
mustering,
took-
moving, building, fighting, just doing a little bit of everything.
Try all
seeing
the
what's
different
cool.
actions.
Yeah.
Upgrade.
It's
Don't
cool.
forget to upgrade your wedges.
I did. I
That
think I
matters.
have 2/3 or almost all of them upgraded at this point. I did the first couple of turns of that, and it looks like I'm sure there's end game scoring where you guys are going to blow me away on, but right now we're all fairly close.
Not
so we'll
so
see.
much. There's a little
Yeah,
bit.
this
of
game doesn't
stuff.
have that super strong end game scoring.
Okay.
We're gonna give away some bonus points for he with the most kills of each of the different.
Yeah.
Is it
Factions
the different
Factions, the Saracens,
enemies?
and the enemies. Yeah,
and then you get bonus points for sets of different enemies. But Wayne, if you look at the board itself, the player board, there are bonus points giving if you build the last building of each type of building.
yeah.
So you can see kind of where the bonus scoring is going to come from.
And I don't think I've done enough building yet. I think that's where
That's
I'm
the
gonna,
key
I'm gonna
that I
lose
was going to
out,
give
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
On your
Yeah.
next game, focus
Yep.
on upgrading your banks, so getting your banks built, because that's going to help you build better each time.
Gotcha.
All
And
your other
that's
buildings
that's
cheaper,
where your
yeah.
wheel just gets spinning. Your combo-tastic wheel.
Yeah, that sounds good. It's a cool game. I definitely need a couple of games of it. Obviously, we're learning on BGA. And what I've learned is, complex games, I kind of get them, but I still think I need to play it in person. So I would love, future game day.
Oh yeah.
I'll sit down and like to play this one in person. I think
There's a couple people in the game group who have it, and on Board Game Geek here, we're looking at some of the pictures of the newer, what if it was an anniversary edition or deluxe edition that came out recently. And I think Diego,
the deluxe came out as part of the Kickstarter.
okay,
We came with the metal coins, came with the plastic buildings, came with the plastic units.
Yeah.
The wooden version that I have is kind of the retail version.
right, okay,
And I can see this is a game that, someone's going to pick it back up. I think a lot of the TMG games will get remade.
I think they already did, because somebody
Yeah.
else picked up, because TMG's
Several
gone, right?
have
Yeah,
been,
But somebody picked up the expansion that was going to be published before TMG went
Right.
out,
right,
and actually publish it. I think BJ from Board Game Gumbo has a copy of it, and it's going to play or has played the new expansion, which I'm having
Nice.
trouble finding.
Cool.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Seeing the comments there, Diego, Samantha both saying probably better in person. But yeah,
Yeah.
so it's it's good. What I like about the more complex games on BGA is it opens the game so that when I go play it in real for the first time, the teach is gonna be a lot easier.
Yeah.
I want to play Barrage in person,
Yeah.
this in person, and I'll probably get it a lot faster, or Tapestry or things like that. So yeah, I think
You'll be able to be more competitive quicker.
yeah, pick up on it quicker. And I just highlight, I love Samantha had a great comment about a Christmas ornament, Beans and Dice Christmas ornament. I'm down.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, with Board Game
Do
Throw
like
the
a
logo
little-
up there with a little Christmas tree or something.
little Christmas tree logo, and cut it out in the wood, and
You can do a little nativity scene with all our little faces in there.
got to do.
Yeah.
You guys did a Christmas time, I think last year. You guys had kind of like a game day where you did a Secret Santa thing, or a white
Probably
elephant.
the third one we've done.
Man,
as
that's
a group. Second or third one we've done as a group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Where
think
we
third, yeah.
we did a white elephant before, and this one was more of just a straight up, bring a game, drop it on the table, and then get called
That'd
up
be
in
cool.
order and grab a game.
that could be cool. I like that idea. I've missed
Yeah,
the
it's fine.
last
I'd
one.
say, yeah, definitely.
But
do
see,
that again.
and here's the part that I feel like people are doing it wrong, but okay wrong. Right? I'm just gonna throw it out there and say it. Like when I say it, and when I schedule it, and when I advertise it, I say, bring the games that you don't want, like the games that you don't want to play anymore, that you
Yeah.
didn't like, you bought, you didn't like, you want, you're never gonna play it again. Bring your garbage, right?
Yeah, I
We
wouldn't
get there and
say all
people
that.
got like Istanbul.
Yeah, see, I brought
and
good games.
holy crap, the whole Great War series from
Right.
Richard Borg's.
Yeah.
It's like people are bringing expensive stuff.
If it's a game you're never going to play, or you're not
Yeah,
going
if
to
you're
get to
not
the
going
table,
to play,
might
that's
as
what I
well.
try to do. If it's a game that even if it's a good game, and I know it's fairly highly rated, but it just didn't fit me, I think that's the perfect thing. That's my perfect opportunity once a year to be able to pass that off to somebody else in the group that I think will play it. And I'm not giving them garbage. I know that can be a funny thing with the whole white elephant thing, and bring a game to see somebody get a little excited when they get it, upset. Maybe maybe not the right word, but that can be a funny.
But that's
thing,
what I
guess.
didn't want, is
Yeah.
people to show up and be like, hey, I brought this Kickstarter Barrage,
Yeah.
and then I ended up walking away with, I don't know, The Crew. I think I
Yeah.
went and purchased 4 or 5 copies of The Crew on sale at Target just before that.
Yeah.
And I put those on the table. I think Rob brought a stack of games. And we wanted to do kind of like what we felt at Dice Tower Retreat.
Oh yeah.
Bring a game, take a game.
Yeah.
But then we ended up taking like 3 games each. You remember that, Rob?
Yeah, bring
Yeah,
a
it's
game.
all
and
good.
take
I wanted
it.
people to
Yeah,
have
3.
that feeling.
Yeah, I think it was 3
That'd be
each.
cool.
Yeah. Mhm.
And yes, Sam, the TMG is gone. They folded
Yeah.
last year and a half ago.
It was either
probably.
late last
They
year, early this year. Yeah, it
kind
wasn't
of like
that long
announced
ago.
that they were going under. Yeah, but
Yeah.
some of their games have been picked up already. Some haven't. But they
Yeah.
had a pretty good sale on a lot of their deluxe fight games before they went out of business.
Yeah, I didn't have enough money to jump in on that the way I wanted to, but yeah.
Yeah. And Sam wants. Is it you want a Christmas ornament with Carlos's face, Sam? Is that?
Oh, we don't want that. Don't nobody want that.
Yeah, that's
what
scary.
That's a horrible way to start your Christmas, people.
Somebody's face on it. Yeah.
Does anybody know about the Crusaders expansion? Anybody here or anybody in the chat or anybody want to call in and
It looks
tell
like
me about
Diego,
the Crusaders
Diego in the
expansion?
chat said that Renegade Games have the expansion.
What does it bring to the game?
Oh, it's interesting. I don't know.
I'm gonna pull it up on the BGG here real quick.
Nobody's
I hear-
researched it.
Yeah, they've got it. It's actually got TMG's symbol on it. It looks like Crusaders That Will Be Done. I'll pull it up here and share.
Renegade Games now.
Okay, yeah, that's what he said. So again, I'm just a little surprised that this has TMG's logo on it, but it says a 2022 release, Divine Influence, I guess is what it is here.
Yep.
Let's see what the explanation is here. Spreading the influence of your order takes on a whole new meaning in Crusaders Divine Influence. Claim influence over the regions with new and improved influence action. Take advantage of 4 new building types and explore 4 new knight orders in this expansion. Hey, we got a call. Carlos is gonna, I think, maybe
screen it out.
Screen that one. Yeah, he's just checking who's calling.
So usually it's right around 10 o'clock. So that's usually Nick Oben's time. But
oh yeah, as he's probably getting off of X throwing. So yeah, we'll see. I think Carlos would normally put Nick straight through, but he's talking on this one, so he's trying to figure out what's going on.
No, but so yeah, I'm enjoying the game. I've this is the first time, so I'm kind of just shooting at things and see where I'm going with it. But
yeah, that whole rondelle thing and having, I think it's about 5 or 6 different actions you can do. You do got to get used to moving them around, loading up what you want to do in the right order, and then popping those.
All right, that call didn't work out, but we got another caller coming in. This one's Nick Oben. It's on my
there you
calling.
go. Yeah, speaking of the devil, there he is.
His ears were burning.
Ears are burning. Yeah.
Hello, Nick Oben. Welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Outstanding. Thank you. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Yep. It's funny. I just got an axe throwing and tuned in enough to hear my own name saying, "Oh yeah, Nick is probably getting that axe throwing." So here I am.
There you go. That's about your time.
Speak of the devil.
What have you been up to?
That's right. Oh God.
Was there an accident with the axes?
Driving and talking.
No.
Somebody lose a leg?
No, I was just listening to the Bluetooth. Anyways, so two decent games since last Thursday. Obviously still doing the game today. We've been doing some filler, some of the crew. We did the crew today. We did some silver and gold. But me and the boys played Aeon's End over the weekend. Still working actually through the base box villains of Aeon's End, even though we have a few of the expansions. And yeah, it's great. I mean, that may be my favorite co-op game, period, out there.
Wow.
It's other than Gloomhaven. I guess non-legacy,
Okay.
as far as games you can just set up and play. It just every time we play it, me and the boys have a ton of fun. I like that you're building 3 independent decks, but you're building them from the same market, right? And so you get to decide how asymmetric to make your guys based on what they buy. Because if we all just take the same strategy from the same 9 cards, it ends up being more challenging sometimes. Whereas if you lean into the asymmetry that you can create out of those 9 cards and say, okay, I'm going to go heavy damage, you guys go, charge.
Hang on, Nick. You're like jumping in the deep end here, and I'm not familiar with Aeon's End at all. Give me a quick blurb on the theme, and then the mechanisms of how you play that theme.
I'm sorry. Aeon's End is a cooperative deck builder where you each play the role of a breach mage. Basically, it's mages fighting.
He's getting excited.
Monsters.
He's smashing buttons on his phone.
Yeah. Oh, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you, brother.
Yep, got you.
Okay. So you're each playing a mage, and so you start out with a minor asymmetric element where your mage might be a healer. You might have a special ability to heal the party, whereas mine might do more of a control element, controlling whose turn it is and whatnot. And someone else might do a lot of damage or cast extra spells. But you can only trigger that special ability probably a couple of times per game. So yes, you have asymmetric characters, but you only use that bit of asymmetry a couple of times in each game. Then it's a fairly Dominion-like deck builder in that you all start with the same 10 cards. Or no, you don't. You start with very comparable cards. They actually don't start identical, but there's a little bit of asymmetry there too. But it's basically the same 10 cards. And then you use those cards to buy cards from a central market, and you add them to your deck. It's straight up Dominion, but it's cooperative, so we are buying cards to build our deck, and every so often, the bad guy, a monster normally, gets a turn. And this is fun. This is neat. Carlos, are you still with me?
Oh, I'm listening, brother.
Every round is 6 turns, and the turn order is determined by a turn order deck. The 6 cards will be 4 player cards and 2 boss cards, 2 nemesis cards, what they're actually called, the nemesis. And so you don't know who goes next until you flip over the next card. And then you see, okay, cool, it's player number 1's turn. And, maybe I'm player number 1, so I take my turn. And then we're all sitting there being like, boy, I hope the boss doesn't go next, because if the boss goes next, we are screwed. And sure enough, the boss gets flipped over next. And you're like, oh, no. And then we all die or, take damage. We have to deal with it. So it's really neat. There's a variable turn order every round. The 6 turns in each round. So like if the boss goes 2 times in a row at the start of the round, you are struggling. That's bad. But you're going to get 4 turns in a row as a party, right? Boom, 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 boom. To recover, to do damage, to heal, and stuff like that. So that's a neat element of it. The co-op mechanism then works out really nice. So yeah, the market is 9 cards every time. 3 of them will be gems, which, like straight out of Dominion, are just cards you spend money on to help you generate more money, right? So that you can buy other cards. And the gems will also have some special effects in the game as well. Then there's going to be 2 relics that have some cool, neat effect, and then 4 spells. So that's your 9-card market every time. But which 3 gems, 2 relics, and 4 spells you play with can vary wildly. You have a huge library of gems, relics, and spells to draw from, and that's the Aeon's End kind of allure and the Aeon's End expansions I referenced. The expansions will add new mages you can play, new nemesises you can play against, and new cards that you can populate the market with. So every time you play, it's like, all right, how do we fit these 9 cards together into 3 different decks, or 2 different decks, or 4 different decks, whatever, how many players you're doing. It's a 2 to 4 player game. I guess it could be 1, forget if there's a solo mode. But if you did 1, you would just play multiple hands. But we like it at 3 a lot. It shines at 3, and it's great. It's very, very good. There you go. Is that better?
Yeah, even in the chats, they agree. We needed a little more context and where you were headed, because you were like, mile a minute, brother, and we had no idea what you were talking about. But now I know where the game's coming from. Tell me about the experience with your boys.
Yeah. So I mean, it is the game similar to we talked about with Tiny Epic Dungeons, was very, very hard, right? Aeon's End is actually not that hard by any means. You probably win closer to 60 or 70%, which is that's a good win percentage for a co-op. You definitely can lose, but you win more than you lose. But you get those moments consistently and throughout the game of
Nice.
This is fun. This is a fun turn, right? Like this, I'm having fun with this turn. Or the boss attacks, and it's like, oh my god, that's so bad. We're screwed. But then, wait, I can do this on my turn, and then you're unscrewed. It is full of those experiences. Probably starting easily halfway through and then on. The first half of the game being a little more strategic deck building, right? And that's what I'm talking about. Okay, Leo, you buy the damaging spells because your special ability helps you cast at a higher damage anyways, so you're just going to be our damage guy. And I heal, so maybe I'll get the one that does more of the control or whatever. And so it's neat. You create these even more deeply asymmetric decks based on your asymmetric mages that you start with, to ultimately try to defeat the boss. And it's just great. It's full of those. Man, this is just fun. Like it's your turn is quick and easy. It's just a deck builder. You play your 5 cards in your hand, and you resolve the cards. Right? What am I going to buy next? What spell am I going to cast next? Boom, boom, boom. But the turns you can create in this deck builder is just fun. There you go.
Yeah, top 100 game on BGG. I mean, this is one that I've heard a lot
Wow.
about. I watched a playthrough of this less than a year ago, just because it's been out there for a while. It's a 2016 release. It's an 8.0 rating. Designers Ginny Iglesias, Nick Little, and Kevin Riley. But I watched a playthrough. I'd say, gosh, it was probably just 4 or 5 months ago, just because I'd heard so much about it and I had never played it. And I was like, oh, yeah, this looks pretty good. I can see why it's as popular as it is. It's ranked right now 69 overall out of all board games on BGG, Board Game Geek. So I mean, it's a highly well thought of game. Yeah.
You know, it's funny is
we'll have to get a game.
Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, we'll definitely play. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, this is a game that I knew it was a popular game, and I don't even think I realized it was in the top 100. I think Carlos and I are in the same boat. It's like, wow, this game, I did not realize that this game was that highly rated. Although I've probably seen it, it just kind of, you don't really, it doesn't have the hype train because it is a little bit of an older game. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. I'm sorry, Nick. What were you gonna say when I talked over you for a second?
Well, I was gonna say, and actually, it goes. Is quite a bit of content, almost daunting to get into. But if you want to try, you just try the base game. But then there's a whole fairly deep world they've created here. Like I mentioned, you're a breach mage, and so there's a whole story behind like the world has gone wrong, and you have to like draw power from the breaches. And the point being, there's like a number. I think it's 5 base boxes that have come out. So there is the original Aeon's End, and then you can look it up. There's Aeon's End, like New World something, and extra sauce, blah, blah, blah. I forget the other boxes, but there's a number of other core boxes, similar to like an Arkham Horror, where you could start with Dunwich Legacy if you wanted to or whatever, right? But like there's a bunch of core boxes you can buy, and then there's expansions, and then there is a Legacy. There's an Aeon's End Legacy and an Aeon's End super recent more legacy adventure thing that came out that I actually bought at Dice Tower East, and one of the designers was there at the booth, and she signed my box.
Oh, very cool.
So that was pretty cool. We haven't played it, but yep. So I actually have quite a bit of Aeon's End content that, again, every time the boys and I play, I put this in my comment on Facebook. Every time we play, I wonder why I bother putting it away. Because it really, for us...
Because the box cover doesn't look like anything special to me. It looks like just any other fantasy game. Then you throw in the words deck builder, and I'm like, okay, another one of the 1 millionth deck builders have come out in the last decade. Like, nothing on the face of it would have told me I would enjoy playing this game. But my hope is that... are you going to Escape WinterCon this weekend?
No, I cannot make it, unfortunately.
No, we can't be friends. Outside of that, I guess I'll have to see you at the next board game night.
Yeah.
Maybe the next board game day you can bring it with you.
Yeah, no, for sure. I would. Oh, I love it. And it's a quick teach. It is just a deck builder. Like there's a market of 9 cards. There's a bad guy that draws cards from his own personal deck, him or her, the Nemesis deck, and you resolve those cards. There's not much to the rules. It's entirely about building that fun asymmetric character in a tight package. You play it in an hour. Like that's why for us it's really, really a sweet spot. You can set it up, play it. Set up and play is an hour and a half probably.
Yeah, you gotta teach me sometime when I'm over, because this is one I really want to get played. So yeah, definitely.
Love it. Sold. Last thing, real quick. Just last night, had some friends over and played Clank in space. And you have to say it like that, all those exclamation points. So that was fun. I haven't played that one in a long time. Another deck builder with a little extra juice to it, right? Deck building where you're then using your deck to move around and steal artifacts and escape the shit before it blows up. So that we had a lot of fun. That was a good one. can gush over that one as well, but it's already 10:10 and I've done discussion.
Well, I assume this was completely unplanned, but I led off the show by talking about our audio podcast that's coming out on Sunday, and we did a whole section, probably over 30 minutes, between Wayne and I and Mitchell. We discussed what makes or breaks a deck building game for us. So if y'all are interested in delving a little bit deeper into deck builders, we talk about a handful of games in specific that we like and we don't like, some of the mechanisms we don't like and like it, particularly in deck builders. So this was a completely unpaid promotion. Nick, you calling in tonight and jumping on the deck builder train for us. But yeah, tune in Sunday if you want to when our podcast releases.
Hear some more of our thoughts. Yeah,
exactly.
And actually, I want to say that I appreciate the some of the folks in the community and the Discord and the Facebook group chiming in and talking about the podcast that's come out the last couple of weeks and the topics and giving us your thoughts and opinions. So we are always looking for your thoughts and opinions on the things we discuss and talk about on the podcast, on the show. So feel free to make sure to comment on the podcast, join our Discord server, start that conversation going, because it's really really cool to see that people agree or disagree or what they like about some of the strategies and tips we're giving away for the games that we play.
Thanks for bringing up deck builders, Nick, so we can advertise the podcast. Wish you the best this weekend, and wish you were going to be at Escape WinterCon. You didn't give me the right answer, but we will post up many pictures of what we're doing at Escape WinterCon this weekend.
Sun and fun in Orlando, Florida.
Sounds good. Awesome. Yep. We'll sync up next week.
All right, brother. Have a good night.
Thanks for calling, Nick.
You too. Bye-bye.
That was Nick Oben from Wesley Chapel, Florida. Phone lines open. 813-618-7099 is the number. I know we've got some calls that came through while we were talking with Nick. Some calls came through on the call waiting, but the line is open now. We do only have one phone line. We haven't got the technology yet to take multiple phone lines. So if you were trying to get in during that time, the phone line is now open. 813-618-7099. All right, so I saw some comments in the trail about it being just a deck builder, so the way Nick described it is accurate.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the way it executed on the theme is what made it exciting. I think for me, what I heard from him was the initiative order of things, the way the initiative order worked. I got a call coming in. Let me go screen that. I'll be right back, gentlemen. Sure.
It's just good to, it's a game that I love Nick's enthusiasm for the games of the day that he plays with his family, his kids and stuff. And when you hear him talk about a game, you want to go give it a shot. Like I had really no sort of thought or interest to play Aeon's End, but now, man, I want to try it, and that's really the best part about when you hear someone talk about a game that they enjoy. You can feel that energy, you get that energy and you go, wow, that's okay. Now I want to try that game. It's a game that wasn't really on my list. And now I'm there, I want to give it a shot.
And awesome that he's got the family still going with that game a day. Carlos screening the call here, so he'll let us know when he wants back in. But Nick, he's got the 3 kids all under the age of, I think, of 11, and he's been teaching them. They've played a game a day every day this year. They started on January 1st. They haven't missed a day. He admits sometimes they, I wouldn't call it cheating, but sometimes they get just a little quick couple hands of the crew or something like that, a little 5-minute game in before the kids go to bed. But he's got his 3 kids now playing some fairly decent games. Aeon's End is not an easy game, and so it's just awesome. And he told me that it was a little daunting at first. He said that when he had to do the setup, it was like, I've got to set up for our game a day. I got to take it down after the kids go to bed or whatever. He said, but now that they've been doing it every day over and over and over again, the kids look forward to it. The kids help with the setup. The kids help with the takedown. They get excited about it. So it's really turned into a routine in their household. And that's awesome to hear. My kids are a little older. I've got an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 10-year-old. The 10-year-old is just kind of coming into wanting to play games. My daughter, my 16-year-old, she's been my gamer along. She'll usually jump into just about anything. My 18-year-old, my oldest boy, he's been a little shied away from it. He hasn't been as big. He's got some titles that he likes, and he's got particular games he likes to jump in on. But I think it's awesome what Nick's doing, getting him in young, getting him used to playing games. Hopefully, not pushing him too hard to burn him out or anything like that. But it's a great thing. But I don't know if Carlos is ready for us. Did you give us a wave there?
I tried. He could hear me. I could hear him, but he couldn't hear me.
Oh, okay. So we're having a little problem.
He wanted to talk about Aeon's End. I was really excited. It sounded really excited about it. He just couldn't hear me.
Oh boy, maybe I'll call back. So I guess whoever that was,
hopefully.
Maybe try again.
Yeah, but it's definitely an inspiration. Playing a game a day, it makes me want to really get back
No,
into.
not an
playing-
inspiration.
No, it is, man. I want to play more games. I need to
That
play more
sounds
games.
psychotic to me, bro. I'm gonna go
But I-
screen another call.
That's good. Samantha brought up the new Clank Catacombs. Yeah, that's got some really good buzz. I enjoy Clank.
Yeah.
I've played a bunch of Clank. Really enjoy it. I've only played Clank in Space once, and I also really enjoy it. I know most people or a lot of people view Clank in Space as better. I haven't done the Legacy, and this new one looks pretty cool. So definitely, those are all on the list.
Yeah, I just saw the Dice Tower review of the new Catacombs, and that sounds pretty good. I was not a big fan of the original Clank. It just wasn't real exciting. The mechanics were real simple. I liked Clank in Space quite a bit better because it gave you some things that you had to do to advance to the different levels to kind of go through the ship. And I was a little more excited about having some goals that you had to meet. The original Clank to me was kind of like just run in, get what you can, get out. I mean, there were some mechanisms. I'm oversimplifying it, so there's some stuff going on it. But the Catacombs sounds really cool because the layout is never the same. When you play that, the cards are coming out. There's cards that allow you to swap cards from one end to the other or move them around vertically and left and right. And so the catacombs that you're going into, the caves that you're going into, are constantly moving, constantly changing. So you may think, hey, I'm a couple steps away from getting this relic and being able to run out of the dungeon, and then somebody may play something or do something. From what I understand, I haven't played it yet, but to manipulate that, to move some stuff around, then all of a sudden you're in a different situation. And I hear it has some cards in there that break some of the rules. Everybody who's played much Clank, that there's a bunch of one-way passages where the game's kind of designed to filter you into different areas of the board, and then you've got ways to come back around and get back out. The new one, there's some abilities or some cards that you can get that allow you to travel against those arrows. So they've actually really thought about it. Sounds like some changing up the mechanics, changing the way the game plays a little bit. And I know Dice Tower, Tom Bassel's been a huge fan of the original Clank. He's talked about that for a couple of years now, and he said that actually the Catacombs is going to replace the original Clank for him. He wasn't as big a fan of Clank in Space like I am. I prefer that one, but he said the new Catacombs is definitely his favorite. So that's really cool.
Clank Catacombs?
Type Catacombs, yeah. Were you able to get that caller through, or still having a problem with the phone? Or
no, we still had phone issues. So
phone
I'm hoping it's just on that end, not on my end.
Okay, yeah.
We'll find out when a new caller comes in.
Haven't run into that problem, before. So yeah, hopefully we'll get that figured out. But yeah, awesome. But yeah, that's Clank. So
I just wasn't a huge Clank. Just didn't hit me off.
Yeah,
on the first try, and I haven't given it a second try since.
Fair enough. I enjoy Clank because it kind of just it's to me, Clank is in that same boat of sort of Castle Panic, which is cooperative, but so it's different. But it's that whole it's lighter. It's you're trying to run it in, and it's fantasy, so it's it's a fun game. But I definitely am looking forward to the new version. So it's fun. So. Not to change up the topic too much, but I don't know if you guys have watched the Jamie's 10-year anniversary releases and Stonemaier Games updates.
I didn't watch. I read the email that he put out. That he kind of highlighted some stuff, but I've got that bookmarked that I want to go back and watch the video for Stonemaier Games. Yeah, they're coming up on their 10-year anniversary. Yeah.
10-year anniversary, and he's giving he designed an 18-card game, Smitten, and it's
I saw that.
Yeah, so it's SM for Stonemaier Games and 10 for the 10 years that they've been around, and then he loves cats.
Funny.
It's so funny. Yeah,
That's some
loves
thinking
cats.
there,
So he puts but interesting enough, if any he's going to put a notice out in a couple of weeks because it's delayed in shipping, but anyone who does a physical order from the store. For a 10-day period this month, we'll get the game for free.
Oh, nice.
So yeah. So if you go on buy some expansion or a game you're missing, you'll get Smitten for free. A little 18-card game, and it's like all eco-friendly. It's not in a box; it's in a paper container, and so it's he has that kind of a little kick to be a little bit more environmentally friendly in the gaming. So it's kind of cool. And then released 3 new packs for Rolling Realms.
Wayne's gonna have to go after those. A collector and him.
Collector's
me
get them all.
I know, I gotta get them all, right? Yeah, I'm waiting for that. The nesting box, man. Can't wait for that. Wingspan nesting box.
A lot of people are excited.
Looking at the Smitten game, it kind of reminded me of Robert. What's that video game turned into the card game that we played at the CMON Expo 2019? It's that video game with the floating head, the Viking dude. You play video games,
God of
I
War.
don't.
God of War.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
Yes,
kind
God
of
of War.
reminds me of the God of War board game, where it
Okay.
had almost like a panorama or mosaic effect with the cards. So the cards kind of get laid out on the table, and together it looks like a giant mech, like a scythe mech. Yeah, you've got the pictures up. Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, pull up the pictures and you'll see what
And
I
that's
mean.
what he talked about. The inspiration for Smitten was based upon a game he played as a kid, where you had like different cards, and you can put the cards together in different orders to create different pictures.
Scenes.
And scenes.
I called it a mosaic.
Yeah.
Having the
You
different
had it
cards
right.
being. See if you can find that picture that I'm talking about when they're all set up, laid out on the table.
They don't have it here on BGG. There's only one more photo here, and it's just been just the cover, the front and the back.
Kind of
and then just
reminded
the
me
cards.
of
Yeah.
God of War, where all the different cards laid out in a certain pattern create that giant image of the giant scythe mech.
Oh, that sounds cool. I haven't seen that yet, so I'll have to go online and look that up. Yeah, that
It
sounds
was
good.
in their Instagram. I think Diego had sent me a link to it.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. I like when when companies celebrate 10 years, and any kind of company lasting 10 years,
Oh, yeah.
especially,
Any big
it's kind of
anniversary.
cool. And
Yeah.
so looking forward
Cool.
to it. I'm definitely going to probably pick up the Rolling Realms and the nesting box. So we'll go from there.
But what about
So-
the first comment I had? And y'all know I enjoy my Stonemaier games, but like the first comment I had was I didn't know I needed a new version of Between Two Cities.
Oh,
Yeah,
Did anybody
like,
else think
I
that
saw that. Yeah.
when he made the
Yeah.
announcement?
Yeah, I
That-
thought
that-
I thought he would have something a little bit bigger than that, maybe. But just the idea of giving away a little card game for free is pretty cool. But certainly the artwork looks pretty good. But I think. I don't know if there's a percentage of the population, and we all know that, Carlos, that are going to go out. They'll get rid of their old version of Between Two Cities and get the nice fancier version.
Sure.
But then this combines a bunch of the expansions and errata and things like that into one box. So it makes it accessible to people that don't want to have to go back and buy everything, so.
All right, in all transparency, Stonemaier sent me a copy of Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
Okay.
And we played it using the review copy, and I did go out and use my own money to buy this version, which was the
Okay.
Between Two Cities version, because to me, for Robert, not so much. Between Two Castles didn't hit off for him, but
wasn't
Between
usually.
Two, the idea of it hit off really well for me, and I bought the Between Two Cities. I just never thought I would need a updated version of it.
Yeah.
I am going to acknowledge that the new version is a lot prettier. This original version is not very pretty at all. Between Two Cities, I say at all, but the top-down views aren't great like that because it's kind of a top-down view. It's a tile placement game where you're working to build cities on your own player boards, and you're going to get points based on how you connect different cities. You can lose points for like having factories or manufacturing districts next to parks, right? Because it just takes away from the beauty of it. But then you get points for having like the residentials near those business buildings because the people are right there. So it's I don't know how to describe it other than a tile laying game where you're fighting to score points. But the coolest mechanism of the game is your points aren't based on how well you did on your own. You're gonna score for the city that has the lowest score,
Lowest of the, I think, of the one. on the
lowest
left and
of
one
the
on
two
right.
cities between you and the other players. So you're going to be building a city to your right and a city to your left. And if Rob, you're sitting on my left, you and I are sharing the role of building the city on your right and my left, and between us, between two cities.
Between-
Wayne, you and I are working on the city to my right, to your left, right? We're sharing the role of building that city. So we almost have to work cooperatively, Wayne, you and I, to help build this city up while I work cooperatively with Rob to help build the city between us. Because I'm only going to score for the lowest of the two scoring cities. But then, Wayne, you're going to work with Rob to build the city between the two of you, right? So it's almost like a semi-cooperative where I'm trying to get Wayne to, hey, Wayne, put your good stuff over here between you and me, not between you and Rob, right? No, don't put that good one over there. Put it over here between us. So it really drives a lot of social interaction, which is why I liked this system.
Cool.
Yeah, I can see the appeal of it. It wasn't huge for me. Splitting my interest in between trying to do something over here and do something over there with somebody else. You're almost kind of negotiating with people on both sides of you a little bit because you're trying to get them to almost kind of trick them into, hey, let's put that special tile over on this side, not on the side with the player over on the other side of you. You need to help over here, and then you're turning two-faced on the other side. But like, no, we need to do this over here. And so I don't know. I'm not a big negotiation fan. I'm not a big social deduction fan. So maybe that's
Not
why
a big semi-co-op fan. I mean, I think it's kind of a semi-co-op.
Yeah, it is kind of a semi-co-op. That's but one of the weakest genres for me or mechanisms for me is semi-co-op. So yeah, it's I see the appeal of it though. It's good. It gets people talking. It gets people negotiating. So I see that part of it. It's gonna be fun. Yeah.
We got about 5 minutes left on the show. I know we had a bunch of folks pop in at the top of the hour.
Yep.
So we're getting to here. It's about the bottom of the hour. We'll wrap it up. So if you want to get that last phone call in or try for a third time to see
a couple more minutes before we shut that down. But yeah, it's some good conversation tonight and some good games. Gosh, I'm trying to think of what else.
Y'all are heading up to Escape WinterCon this weekend, right?
Yeah, so Escape WinterCon, and we kind of touched on that a few times. That's over in Orlando. We had the organizer, the CEO, the head of Escape WinterCon on the show a couple of weeks ago. We got to interview Patrick Havert, and yeah, really good guy, and really trying to build something over there. He's been doing conventions for, gosh, years. I think he said it's over 10 years, so way over 10 years now, actually. I remember that he's been running conventions, and so he knows what he's doing. He puts on a good convention over there. We're hoping there'll be a good turnout. I know they're trying to ramp back up to pre-COVID. They've been adding, year by year, a couple hundred more tickets. So I think they're getting back to where they need to be. And from what I understand, just a couple days ago, there were only a few tickets left. Normally you don't buy them at the door, so there may not even be any left. But if anybody's interested in Escape Winter over in Orlando, that started yesterday, actually, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Check online, check their website and see if you're still able to buy tickets on there, because I know they don't sell them at the door. But it's a good con. They've got the flea market, they've got all the stuff you see at a con. They've got tournaments, they've got some game giveaways, I believe. So it's a good place to be, but it's mostly about playing the games. It's 24-hour gaming for 5 days, for the better part of 5 days. So and really good people over there. We've got a lot of people from our Beans and Dice group who go over there and hang out and play games every year. So we got a last minute caller. Anybody coming in, Carlos? No ringing.
Nothing coming through. The caller did leave a voicemail, and I'm again, I tried to play the voicemail. I got no audio coming through, so
that is strange.
It must have been some kind of connection issue.
Yeah, sorry for that.
We're glad to have new callers in, though. That was nice. Yeah. At least attempting. So maybe next week we can get more.
Here every Thursday night, 9 to 10, 10:30. So feel free to call in next week if we can figure it out.
Yeah, Escape WinterCon for me was exciting. The idea of it. I was saddened to see the split between the Dice Tower and the folks that ran Dice Tower, which is now Escape WinterCon, because they had a good thing going for almost a decade of hosting that Dice Tower event. But the idea of having two major cons in the Florida area, in the Central Florida area, was kind of nice.
Yeah, benefits.
So we'll have Dice Tower, we'll have Escape WinterCon, which hopefully will be back to February next year. I know the whole goal was to have it in February, and I think we were able to get that. That was the last con we went to, Rob, before the world shut down. Before the world shut down, we went to Escape WinterCon and had an amazing time. We were super excited, but they had to move it to September after that because of the change from the lockdowns. But I think next year they're supposed to be going back to February.
They're trying to push it back. Yeah, definitely. If not all the way, they're going to get closer for sure. So they're gonna move it back towards that actual Escape Winter moniker and make that happen. So Escape in Winter to come down to Florida. If you're outside of Florida, it's
which is kind of nice because February. I don't think there's any competition. Gaming wise, convention wise, that you can think of. September's busy, right? Like October's, November's got stuff.
Busy,
July's got stuff. So it's like having a con during this time of the year.
Yep.
It makes us have to decide which ones are we going to. But there's nothing going on in February.
Yeah, beginning of the year,
February,
after
March.
the holidays are over. Yep.
It would make it so much easier to go to. So I'm looking forward to hearing from Patrick on his plans for getting it back onto that winter schedule.
I think it'd be schedule, yeah. Sweet. All right. Well, I think that's winding us down. We're at the 10:29, so probably shut
Yep,
down that phone.
gonna put
and we'll
the
start
phone
signing
line
off.
back on Do Not Disturb all the way until next week.
Yep. I saw we had lots of new commenters in the chat. Hopefully, lots of people checking us out. So if you like what we're doing, we're a growing podcast. We've been doing this for almost exactly 2 years now. So we're still ramping up. We're still finding our way.
I
We're
watched
still-
our first video last week,
Oh,
Rob.
I listened to one of our first audios, and yeah,
It was like September, October of 2019 or something like that.
Mhm.
And man, it was bad.
Yeah, it was rough.
bad.
Hey, it's always going to be rough. Come on, it was just you and me and a microphone. So yeah,
It was. It still reminded me of what Wayne introduced me to the IT crowd when when they had their board game show.
Well, good stuff.
It
But
was.
yeah, it was a little pathetic, but that's all right. You got to start
And
somewhere.
I still
right?
remember when I spit out those words. It's going to be a podcast, and I listened. I went back and listened to it. It's going to be a podcast about not about what to game, not about how to game or what to play, but how we game.
How we get
And that was like kind of the first time I ever verbalized that, and it kind of
Yeah.
became our
stuck around. It's our
Stuck
tagline.
around.
our motto, which is
Good one.
It's
It's how we
it's
game.
what we
It's how
got,
do
y'all.
things. Yeah,
it is.
It's how we game.
we just hang out and have fun. Yep.
Yeah, that's what we do. So on that note, I want to thank Rob, Wayne, and Mitchell for holding the fort down in my absences.
We'll
While
keep
I
going.
handle business at home, I got a new role at work. I'm learning a lot.
Yep.
I'm doing more of the work that Robert does now.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's funny because Rob came over last week, and I'm learning auto claims. I grew up doing property claims, and Wayne, you'd laugh. I've got them on my engineered wood flooring, and I'm using them as lanes on the road. And I got my Hot Wheels out. And I got a
Oh,
car
yeah.
coming this
Oh,
way,
yeah.
and the car comes in this direction, and they smash here. What do you say? So I'm
Yeah.
learning a lot in my new role.
It could
Cool.
be
So thank
fun.
you all for holding it down for me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we'll keep rolling along. Yep, for sure.
All right, folks. I'm Carlos. That's Rob. That's Wayne. We are the Beans and Dice Podcast, a podcast about how we
How we
game.
game.
I want to thank you all for watching. We'll catch you all on the next one.
Thanks everybody for watching.
For watching the Beans and Dice podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Smash that bell. Smash it.
Hit it good.
Good night, everybody.